Welcome to Strike Stroke. My name is Dr. Mekdes. Today we'll continue our talk about hemorrhagic stroke and focus on subarachnoid hemorrhage. Let's take a closer look at what is involved when we're talking about subarachnoid hemorrhage. So we have three different types of matters. There's a dural matter, which is the thickest membrane that surrounds the brain, and there is arachnoid matter, and then the pia mater. The pia mater is the one that surrounds the brain or is attached to the brain tissue itself and follows the sulci and the gyri. We are interested in the space between the arachnoid and the pia mater, which is called the subarachnoid space. Arachnoid in Greek means to resemble a spider web-like, and the arachnoid mater has spider web-like filaments that extends from its undersurface through the space and penetrates the pia mater on the brain surface. So the subarachnoid space consists of cerebrospinal fluid and also holds major blood vessel. It is a potential space. When we have a subarachnoid hemorrhage, there is bleeding in this potential space, which is the space between the arachnoid mater and the pia mater we just talked about. Subarachnoid hemorrhage can occur due to trauma, which means you got hit on the head. Either you were involved in a major trauma or you were struck or you fell, something like that, or it can occur spontaneously. In this episode, we focus on the spontaneous cause of subarachnoid hemorrhage. The most common cause of spontaneous subarachnoid hemorrhage are due to rupture of intracranial aneurysms involving the circle of Wills. The circle of Wills are blood vessels at the base of the brain and is named after Dr. Wills, who described the significance of the network of these blood vessels in providing collateral flow. I mentioned this in the history of stroke if you want to go back and refer to those episodes. The most common location for aneurysmal subarachnoid hemorrhage is the anterior communicating artery. Other locations where aneurysms can form and lead to subarachnoid hemorrhage include middle cerebral artery, posterior communicating artery, the internal carotid arteries, basilar arteries, but as I mentioned, the most common location is anterior communicating artery. Subarachnoid hemorrhage makes up only 2% of all stroke, but mortality associated with this type of stroke is very high, and it is because of the secondary brain injury or complication that is associated with it. Some of the complications associated with subarachnoid hemorrhage include meningism. This is because blood does not belong outside of the blood vessel, as you know. And when it is in a subarachnoid space, it irritates the pia mater as well as the arachnoid membrane itself. And irritation of these meninges causes a person to develop such symptoms like headache, neck stiffness, photophobia, nausea, and vomiting. Another complication is vasospasm. This is one of the most feared complications of subarachnoid hemorrhage. And in this case, the blood vessels or the surrounding blood vessels that have blood product laying over them, as the blood starts to break down, the byproduct causes irritation to the blood vessels as well as the meninges, and these blood vessels will start to spasm or clamp down on themselves, causing ischemic stroke. The next complication we can talk about is hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus in this case develops because of obstruction of cerebrospinal fluid flow. So the arachnoid granulations are in charge of reabsorption of cerebrospinal fluid, and when the blood is there, the blood product can actually go into the arachnoid granulation and cause obstruction and causes them to malfunction. So if the arachnoid granulations are not absorbing CSF, there will be an increased amount of CSF within the ventricles that will cause hydrocephalus. Another complication is seizure. Seizure is caused by blood product on top of the brain parenchyma or the brain tissue, causing irritation leading to electrical disturbance within the brain. Another medical complication of subarachnoid hemorrhage includes stress-induced cardiomyopathy, hyponatremia. In summary, in this episode, we talked about subarachnoid hemorrhage. We said that subarachnoid hemorrhage is bleeding into the potential subarachnoid space located between the arachnoid mater and the pia mater. Causes of subarachnoid hemorrhage include trauma and spontaneous hemorrhage, In this episode, we focused on spontaneous subarachnoid hemorrhage, and we said that the most common cause is rupture of an aneurysm located in the circle of Wills. The most common location of aneurysm formation in the circle of Wills, we said, was the anterior communicating artery. The danger of subarachnoid hemorrhage is associated complication which carries high mortality rates such as vasospasm causing ischemic stroke, hydrocephalus, seizure, and etc. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this information useful. In the next episode, we will talk about stroke associated with patent foraminal valley. And always remember to dial 911 if you or someone near you suddenly can't see, can't speak, can't walk, or can't feel. Let the operator know that you or someone near you might be having a stroke so that you or the individual near you can be transported to the nearby comprehensive or primary stroke center for rapid stroke analysis and tailored treatment.